Yeah.
Right.
Alrighty. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming. We really hope that this is a useful session for you guys. Today we're gonna be talking about how you can elevate your interview skills. We've got three lovely previous chairs, current chairs of departments of emergency medicine here, who are gonna talk about the interview process and go through some sample interview questions, and you guys can prep as you're getting ready to apply for academic jobs. We've got no disclosures. I'm Donna Okole. I am finishing up my second year of medical education fellowship at the University of Michigan, and I just took a role as the assistant clerkship director at Northwestern. She'll be starting there this summer.
I'm Michelle. I am also finishing my medical education fellowship at the University of Michigan and then starting at Ohio State in July.
Mark Berenson, I am the Senior Med Ed Fellow at Stanford. I'll be staying on there as faculty.
And then we have our panelists who will each introduce themselves.
Unplanned.
I was the chair of Honors Medicine Brown and then was the dean for faculty at the University of Michigan, and I'm semi-retired now and coaching and consulting business. So I coach leaders in academic medicine, mostly emergency medicine and also.
Hi everyone, I'm Angela Mills. I'm the chair.
And I'm Louis Nelson. I was the chair of emergency medicine at the New Jersey Medical School in Newark. Former resident, Mark is one of our former residents as well. In January, I took the job as dean of the College of Medicine at Florida University, which is a local town in Florida.
So you have some objectives. Basically, today's session is thinking about the types of questions that you're going to get on the interview trail, how you can craft an answer, and how you can pitch yourselves to the people that you're speaking to understand if you're a good fit for their department, if they can help and grow you in your career in academics as much as you can bring something that's worthwhile to their department as well. And so we really wanted to start off with understanding that this is like a safe space. We're going to ask you guys to be courageous and share your answers with the group. And so we want you to know that we just want you to take something away from this session. So it might be a little nerve-wracking getting a question, thinking of an answer on the spot and sharing it with a group of strangers, but that's what the interview is. And so this is a great place to practice that, trial that in front of people who've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of candidates, especially junior faculty members, and get some feedback on what that process looks like and what your answers look like. So that when you're really doing this, looking for your first academic job or transitioning to a new department, like you have some skills and something just to keep in the back of your mind.
So the first thing we're going to start with is not you guys, so into the graph. We're actually going to start by asking the chair some questions. These are the ones that Donna and myself and Mark were learning ones that we wanted to know. So we're going to turn the interview around on them. So I'll ask all of you to reflect and let us know, have there been any bizarre or interesting interview experiences you've had interviewing candidates?
My most, I didn't think it was bizarre, but and it was for someone who's actually interviewing for a chair position when I was in the senior associate dean role, and a person came in who essentially knew absolutely nothing about the University of Michigan or the chair position that they were applying for, or any of the background. Basically had done like zero homework. I think was just trying to get out of their current position, and I didn't even know what to say because the person had absolutely no working knowledge they were applying for. And that was one time I ever see that, and I guess it just struck me so much that someone would put themselves out there applying for a position that they knew nothing about and show that ignorance about it. And it just, I think it just struck me bizarre.
And may I ask you, did you think they were ignorant of the program because of certain questions they asked, or was it the way that they presented what they wanted? It didn't align with anything that you kind of offered it for?
It was just basic homework, like just not understanding how they were applying for, what the role entailed, or what the major areas of focus were in the department. It just seemed totally uninformed compared to most people who prepare quite well and have questions they ask. And I think someone was trying to state or probably put their head out in a lot of different areas and had enough
name, so just like that.
Many interesting interviews. So sometimes I guess it's similar to what Brian was talking about, like people maybe not knowing who I was interviewing, and again, it's because of insurance sending in the itinerary, who you're meeting with, but referring to me as Ms. Mills and Mrs. Mills, a doctor, right? So just understanding who you're interviewing with. And then I interviewed someone for a faculty position who came onto the Zoom and I guess were in their bedroom and the bed was unmade and messy in the background. They were wearing like a green, like tank, was a male, green tank top. Their hair, they clearly just got out of bed. I don't know. Like they just rolled out of bed. Their hair was a mess. And they're kind of like, like they slumped over. And I said, what is going on here? Very odd. But if I can just add a tip there, like I recognize this, and everybody's working off shifts. You're working night shifts, but be thoughtful if you're trying to get a job, right? Be thoughtful about when you plan your interview, right? So to take it after you've worked a long night shift and if you think you're going to be, whatever, groggy, on to leave release, whatever it is, just think about when you schedule it. And, if you're doing Zoom, you can put up a background. You could be in your bedroom without the bed, the background up. Just to be thoughtful about what your environment looks like and how you present, right? And to present professionally. If you happen to just work the shift, I think it's absolutely fine to come in your scrub, be wearing scrubs or whatever. But just say, oh, I just worked the shift, I got my shift now, and just be thoughtful about you look professional.
And one thing I really want to mention as well for those who aren't sure, we were just discussing that with Dr. Z before. When all of the interviews that I went on discussed, some of them have been faculty jobs included a Zoom portion. So keeping in mind, they all also have in-person days, but I had multiple Zoom interviews. Some I had several Zooms for one program prior to the in-person, so definitely keeping in mind you should have a Zoom space when you start active interviews or like programs.
It's funny, I was going to give an answer similar to yours, but take the opposite approach. I have another answer too, but I did do an interview, somebody came in scrubs, and they said they were going to go off shift after the interview, and I sort of thought like, and they were not just interviewing with me, it was going to be a multiple-person interview. And I sort of thought like, how hard is it to change a shift? It's not like we said tomorrow you have to come into it, right? And it just seems like not the most professional for you to come forward. And I mean, others may disagree on what professionalism is, but I still think that you're looking for a position, you want to sort of dress professionally. But I will say, going back to the most bizarre that I have is one where the person on the other side of the interview had a cat. And if I tell you, literally the cat wound up on the person's head at one point in the interview, and it's so disconcerting. And you're watching, and it didn't even faze the person, And I'm just looking at like, why are we so much? But they didn't seem to care. It just felt and dogs are a little hard because they start barking at you once more. I say, put the cat in the other room.
Okay, I have to share a really funny story. This happened to me. Well, so I had just gotten my chair position, but I hadn't started yet. I was not in St. Louis, I was in Philly, and I work in New York, right? And I was interviewing people for like a department administrator, my CFO person. Anyway, so she's on the Zoom with me, and I'm in my kitchen in Philly, and this was a long time. This is 7 years ago. It was let's put it this way, pre-COVID, which is kind of pre-Zoom in a real way. I think Skype, I don't even remember what we were doing. And there were no backgrounds at the time. I don't know. It was a little different 7 years ago. Anyway, so I had a cat. Anyway, so I'm in the kitchen. I closed the door, everything. And then all of a sudden, and I didn't, cats are smart. The cat had come in the room. I didn't hear the cat. I'm talking. All of a sudden, the cat jumped on my shoulder. I screamed. And I'm mortified. I'm so sorry. And she died laughing. Anyway, and till this day, like she's still with me. She laughs about it, and she loved me even more. She's like, "You're an animal person. It's all good." I was mortified. So it's like I think we all recognize sometimes a kid's gonna come in the room, and you're at home, and the animal's gonna come in. But I think as long as you appropriately acknowledge it, not call or whatever. I'm sorry that happened, or I don't know. It happened to me, so.
Excellent. So, are there some red flags that you feel like, as department chair, you all have picked up on over the years that the candidate themselves may not even be aware of a red flag? So one maybe to bring up already is, if you have an unmade student background and you weren't dressed up for the interview, those are red flags that the candidate may not really realize, oh, I really should have done this differently. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
I would say, the premature discussion of dollars and hours, work hours is, to me, a little bit of a red flag. So, everyone's gonna be paid pretty well in an academic month's past. Again, not as much as you might in the community. You've already made that decision. So if you're interviewing for an academic job, and the first thing you wanna know is, well, how many clinical hours will I work, and what's the pay gonna be? It's perfectly appropriate to discuss that, but that should be in the later phase of the interview process. So someone who leads with that makes you think that maybe they're not as dedicated to the academic mission. Another thing I'd say is that if I hear, a lot more I's than I do team or us or others, then someone seems very much, about themselves and you're getting a feel of being, very me-centered or arrogant. I think that's a red flag. People who are name droppers, who are trying to impress you with all the famous people they know, can sometimes be a little off-putting. And then I'd say, people who want an immediate title, but maybe are not, are qualified yet to have a title, especially a junior faculty person. Could you bring me in and give me, this title or that title? It's again a little bit of a red flag, and maybe not appreciating that those types of things are earned, not just given out application process.
Yeah, those are all great ones. So I would add to that list cursing. Like I had people just, they're talking and they're cursing and like, I'm doing with the chair. Speaking badly about your current institution, right? I think we can all recognize that sometimes it's, it might not be a good fit or whatever it is, right? But there's ways to say, oh, I'm looking for an opportunity, I'm looking for different, whatever it is. But not speak badly about your institution. And I also add not speaking badly about patients or about, patients' unfortunate situations. I've had many people, sometimes I'll ask what's something really challenging that you've had to deal with, or how you handled it or something. And a lot of these people will, give a case scenario of a quote difficult patient, and then it ends up, I don't know, they're kind of putting patients in a negative light. And I just think that's not who I want to be there, my family or somebody in our emergency department thing. So I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, did you go in the right field, or like we're here to take care of vulnerable patient populations. So just thinking about, and maybe it doesn't come from a bad place, and maybe just sometimes how people word things, and it just comes off as very negative about patients. So.
Well, you got a lot. The only other one that comes to mind, or maybe just a few, but a big one is don't talk about politics, and don't even allude to politics, right? Because, you could send a message with an eye roll or a smile, and I would just avoid any discussion, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with the perceived political position of the person. And that is getting, obviously, way more complicated now than it ever was. So it's just a topic that shouldn't be avoided. In fact, I'm not even sure we ever talk about it before, but certainly not during the interview process. But I do agree that the overall sentiment of, you're coming in, you want to project as a team player. You don't want to come in as condescending or somebody who's going to be difficult, and you don't want to over-focus on all of the nuances of the job, like money and hours. That will all come out. I mean, nobody's taking a job until they know the money and hours and titles and things like that. But that should not be. And people have literally come out of the gate asking questions about that. So I think you do need to really come in and not be contentious and not be overconfident. You sort of come in as somebody who genuinely wants to be part of a bigger team and that's who we are as a faculty. We're very supportive of one another, and we want to be one of them.
People will say it's a truth, which I don't think it's a truth, that your negotiation and your interview process, your hiring process, it's your last best chance to get anything that you want. So I do think some people hear that, and then they make these very unreasonable requests. That I want 50% projected time, and I want and I just finished a fellowship. I don't get that. I'm place and say, yeah, it's just overstepping a little bit. But you learn those things by positive performance over your first couple of years, and some people advance pretty quickly. But it's not, you're not going to get that coming out, because there are pay strata and there are understanding about how many club hours people work, that chairs have to manage. They can't make an exception for you. If you're a brilliant prosecutor, they're probably going to put you in a category that is where there's, that's equitable with the other people that they hired last year.
The other thing I'll say is reading, like pre-scripted answers. So I know that some of us might be a little more on the introverted side, and I think that there are often many questions that you can imagine that could be asked. But I see reading, it just always comes off flat or not in a positive way, right? I think it's fine, maybe like if you want to make sure you mention something and you don't forget it, like maybe having some bullet points with words, but just staying away from reading. Number one, like even if you're the best, I don't know, trained, kind of active person. But you can, especially on Zoom, right? You can see people's eyes moving, and it just comes off in a very disingenuous way. And this happens at all levels. I mean, we're all on I've been on a lot of chair search committees, and I see people reading, about their opening statement, or and again, it doesn't go well, right? We want to learn about you as a person, and we want you to be, authentic.
And I will say from my own personal experience, I found that the interviews are way more conversational than I was expecting them to be. I felt like, yes, of course, I prepped for the interviews, but I think I was almost taken aback at how much they just wanted to get to know me, and so it made the process very easy, because that's like an easy thing to do, just to talk about the things that you're interested in and what you're hoping to get from this relationship. So I think having an idea of what kind of questions you're going to be asked and prepped for those things, but be a little bit more relieved. I feel like all of the interviews that we went on were very personable. They just want to know who you are as a person and make sure you're not associated with that or anything like that.
So I will say, though, not every interview is conversational, and some of them are very formal, and some of them are very scripted, right? There are places you go where there will be 6 people on a Zoom with you, and each of them has their question that they read, and you give your answer, and there's no follow-up.
Well, that's typical in a chair search, in a high-level search,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had that experience for my first faculty job in my interviews, right?
I think it's creeping down. It used to be like, at the chair level, or whatever, high level leader, that just in terms of search committee, being, equitable with all candidates, same questions, no bias. But I think it is filtering down. I'm surprised to hear you say that with the fellow.
I had several of those.
Really?
Yes.
Because we're often using search.
Yeah.
One other thing I would add, which I think it's a red flag that you could probably easily fix and write this down, but always have a question for the interviewer. It looks terrible after all the time you spent. You can't think of one thing that you want to know about the person, right? And you don't say, "Oh, everybody's answered those questions in my previous interviews," because they don't know what you discussed. Ask the same question to everyone at interviews. Nobody's going to know. But it looks really bad if you don't have any questions.
With that in mind, we've got one more question for you guys, and then we're going to turn it over to Don.
I was actually thinking we can even just go to the audience, and then we can always come back to these at the end, because
Yeah, sounds
I will listen to this for a long time.
All right. So we're going to turn it over to me. And for those of you who know me, that means it's audience participation time. We're going to do this in a think, pair, share model. The idea is going to be, give us an answer to a question that you might get in an interview. We'll read the question, give you a minute to think, talk to your neighbor, and then we will solicit some volunteers to share what they would say. I want to reemphasize the confidentiality piece. Some of these are really hard questions, and some of them are very personal. And I would also like to say that if nobody feels comfortable sharing, we are happy to share some of what our answers were for those as well. So we're taking as much of the pressure off as we can.
But we need you to answer.
I'm going to say I'm trying to encourage you to throw something out there, because I don't think it's often that you're going to have the expertise of 3 academic chairs who are willing to give you free advice on how to do this better. It's a really rare opportunity. my advice is to seize it. You can choose to do as you like, just so I know how many people in the room already faculty working. Okay. How many fellows, residents, and medical students?
Yeah,
No, we got
nice.
medical students.
Yeah.
I love that we're here from across the spectrum. Medical students get bonus points for already being in the seat and trying to learn things. Fantastic. All right, cool. So we will start off, and I'm just going to dive a little out of order on the list. But let's do this one. What would you need from us to thrive as a junior faculty member? So go ahead and take your time to think.
It's like 2 minutes.
I'm gonna.
Oh, okay, cool.
Thank you. Maybe just another 30 seconds or so. All right. So, do we have any brave volunteers to be the first one to share what their response would be to the question, what do you need from us to thrive as a junior faculty member? And just like in med school, the questions get harder over time. So if you're going to volunteer, the
That was the
time
chance.
is now.
There we go.
There
There
we
we go.
So, I guess the answer wouldn't be a title position in salary.
Brian's like,
Uh,
I
in order to thrive in the environment, I guess the thing that would help the most would probably be support from the organization. If there's room to run, and I feel like in my previous positions I've been able to do so, we can, work together as a team and come up with good products and results. But as long as the support structure is there in order to allow for that, then I have good confidence that coming in will be. Well, I mean, of course, financial would always be a thing, but in this case, I think it would be just room to pursue projects that I'm interested in. Time with residents would also be valuable. The more time I have with residents, better connections we'll be able to have with them, more opportunity there would be to get resident and student involvement. So I feel like kind of just the room to run less, I don't know how to say this, but like less red tape. I don't know how I would work with that.
Yeah, when I hear room,
room to run, I don't know.
okay, you know what? I'll give you,
Red tape, regulation,
Yeah.
the rules.
Sure. No. To me, room to run means reduce clinical hours. That's all I'm hearing. Work with medical students or work with residents. I don't know. I mean, it's a system where you have options of community versus an academic site. Maybe you got to know a little bit about the system you're working in. I do appreciate though. One of the things that people I think rings really true is sort of a mentorship ability. So if you need room to run, meaning you want somebody who you're going to be able to work with who's going to help you grow, I think asking for mentorship is a very mature thing, recognizing that you can't do it all by yourself.
And I'd say I used to obviously you have specific faculty members that you'd be looking for in different areas, but I also love to recruit when I could, undifferentiated stem cell faculty who might have a good track record as teachers in their previous work, but we're open to, and I can kind of plug and play them in different areas as long as I thought they had great potential for growth and they were good team players. So you were a little vague on what that means in terms of like what you're looking for, but that's okay in a way. If you're interviewing for a general faculty position, not in, not a still ultrasound really. Again, depending on, you gotta understand the position you're applying for. But it would be okay, but I want to see a little more specific.
Yeah, and if you're somebody who maybe does have a lot of ideas, right, and you want to bring those to, making the clinical environment better, what can they do, or you said something about, one of some initiatives, you could also put the kind of question, like, oh, I like to problem solve, I like to see what's going on, or are there ways, if I have ideas, how does that work with your faculty member? What opportunities are there to get involved in either operations or education, whatever it is that you want to do, or you want to and I think you said no limitations, which I don't know, sometimes that's also vague, right? Does that mean you don't want to follow the rules, or I think it brings back as a question, and saying, oh, I'm whatever, I'm really interested in X, is there an opportunity for that? And certain mentors, or how do I, how does one advance as a faculty member, right? How do I do that? How do I have space to grow?
Space to grow.
Terrific. Thank you, guys. Okay. Next question, and thank you again for being our brave first up and back.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. What makes you unique among the candidates we're interviewing? For the record, this would have been the hardest question for me to answer because the idea of coming near self-promotion makes me deeply uncomfortable. So if you're feeling that too, no, you're not alone.
Well, no, that's that.
All right, just another 30 seconds or so. All right. So, what makes you unique among the candidates who are interviewing? Who'd like to take an at bat? Love it.
Wait, can you tell us your name? Taylor.
Would say that I personally enjoy forming relationships with other people in different capacities. So working in teams with different people with different skill sets. So as a resident, in the EDA, I work with nursing and techs, and then of course our capital team as well. But I enjoy trying to find something to learn from every person that I interact with. And I think that's strengthens the bonds that you have that you get to work with. So I don't know if that's unique, but I certainly enjoy trying to find kind of a learning opportunity in my relationships and interactions with others.
That's a great answer. And we are here to be critical, so don't take this as anything other than that. No, because I think that in my reading of the question, as the person interviewing you, it's good to hear that. I was thinking more about what's gonna make you, different in terms of your ability to work in the department, not your personal skill set, which is important and good to know, but I kind of think like, I have 5 ultrasound faculty, I have 6 tox people, whatever it might be. Well, how are you gonna make the department better? That's how I view it. And that wasn't phrased that way in the question, but that's how I thought about it when I'm sitting there. Hearing about your personal view on yourself is important. I don't know how accurate those are all the time, and that's why we do due diligence, and that's why people, we would say, if we were gonna, ask a reference about you, is she really able to communicate with all those people, or is that just the perception she has? But I want to hear a little bit more about what you bring that's different than everybody else. So I'm gonna be interviewing 10 people who are looking for that one position. What makes you different? Again, your answer wasn't bad at all, but it was my view of the questions were made.
I really liked your answer, and I think it showed, like, I hear what you're saying, and then I might ask you follow-up, like, there's specific traits or key skills, but I think it showed, it was very personal, it sounded very, it felt very genuine. It also showed humility, right, the fact that you work in a team, and it's very, very true, obviously. We might be looking for an assistant director or an ultrasound faculty or something. But at the end of the day, if the person can't get along with the team and work in the team easily, that's, to me, like, that's a important trait, a critical thing. The fact that you're, talking about that you personally learn from everybody on the team, it doesn't matter who it is, it's a nurse, it's a faculty, it's a resident, it's a, whatever, APP, whoever's on the team, right? So, I think that's a great answer, and I can always follow up.
Yeah, I agree. If you were applying for a general faculty position and not in a subspecialty, I think that answer was fine, Taylor. And I did like how you said, I'm not sure if it's unique. It showed kind of a little humility, and that you're not obviously, going to be super self-promoting. And if one of the disciples of kind of hiring and recruitment, Pat Lencioni has a book called An Ideal Team Player, a big one to read at this stage of your. And so he talks about hungry, humble, and smart. So what he's looking for in people is you're hungry, so you got drive, always have drive, but drive, hunger, humble for humility. It's the second thing. And smart, it's not smart, it's EQ smart, it's emotional intelligence smart. So those are the 3 things that he would associate with successful hires. It's hungry, humble, and smart.
All right, thank you, Tim. Our next question is going to be a little bit more difficult and a little bit more personal. Describe a time when you received critical feedback and how you responded. And of course, being in medical school or residency, I know none of you have ever got any critical feedback. This is a foreign idea.
So Donna took me.
All right, another 30 seconds or so.
Dig deep with this one, Ben.
Just speeding up the time over there, Mark.
Yeah, listen, I will keep the trains on time.
And you will probably assume this, but these are all questions that we received multiple times. So these are common interview questions as in one from some of them.
All right. Is there somebody who would like to share a time that they received critical feedback and how they responded. We got multiple? All right. Fight Club, who wants to do it?
No, how about both?
We both do it.
I love it. So,
Share, and then provide feedback, maybe on the kind of goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
In general, I think feedback is valuable, and it's still kind of no comment on I'm on multiple and that's I was focusing more on the different section in the sense of not like action or not action and that's my way or not doing it, as that actually goes for forward or of the way other people are in the sense that like when I'm acting, right, I might like obviously internally I know what up to it, I know what direction I'm planning on going in. I might be thinking about APC that are influencing me, but there's that the perception that other people are receiving from seeing me something or not something, and that's just the all necessarily on them. And that I need to be aware of that perception and responsibility of where those stories connected and try to influence so it was really actually that very so that more pretty important and maybe just like the one
thank you so much for sharing.
I think during my first month here, I newly joined the department and I'm working alongside another intern who was just looking for advice regarding one of his patients that he had signed up for who had come to the emergency department and then the wait times were quite long, so they wanted to know what the procedure was from UP in the department prior to the whole being completed. And I advised them to quickly put in the EMR and the at that point, on the flip side, I had something who told me you have not been here for that long, and at this point, you're not qualified for this because there's procedures that need to be followed prior to the patient leaving the department. That was stuck with me, and I actually wrote it down because it made me understand that before I help in detail, I need to know everything I can possibly find out about an institution, the policies, the practices, and get some experience myself. And that even though, even though your intentions may be pure, or they may be good, that's what you say that might not exactly translate, and it might not have the right effect and might not be the correct thing to do. Thank you so much for the opportunity to get this question.
I don't know your name, sir.
Michelle.
Michelle, so Michelle, I liked your little preamble of like ideal feedback. I thought that was a nice open way to open it. Your response, I was trying to think, is it a clinical environment she's describing? Is it something else? So I would have liked more of a story. Like, this is an opportunity, this type of question, for you to tell a personal story. And I would have held on to it more, and it would have been more meaningful if I had more details. Again, not a 10-minute description, but you could have provided more detail about the situations that you were talking about, and that would have stuck with me more. I probably would have got more out of it. That a little bit more like a narrative story. You know, people love your stories when you're interviewers, and so and you stick with that. And you put that to your story. Well, yeah, I'm saying, okay, I'll take Michelle. So it's.
Yeah, well, I was actually gonna say both of you, I think that, they were both very mature response, right? I mean, I think, had you said, well, I don't really have any feedback, no one's ever getting feedback, you know. So the fact that you both acknowledge that you've gotten feedback, that you both, thought about it, that you now have changed the way that you're approaching things, so I think both of those answers were kind of like all of those, like, even thoughtful about it. I mean, I agree with Brian, having a story would be nice too, but I understood both of them, what you got, what you understood from it. And again, I think there was like a authenticity about it, right? That you got this feedback and you changed the way that you now practice it moving forward.
Yeah, I would anticipate you can get that question on every interview. So be prepared for it. The stories, I think, were contextual. They weren't crazy over the top, you didn't look like, you have yourself look very professional. And I think the fact that you close the loop and you learn from it and you learn from it, I think that's exactly what you said. But everybody should have a few stories in their pocket, and I do like the stories out here too, because you will get this or variation of this question, and you can usually squeeze a couple of generic answers into many of those different responses, but always be ready for questions.
We had a question in the back.
Development, and for those that consider, questions like these, are you often looking for like a clinical example or more, like your professional development? Is there something that you prefer?
Yeah, I would say definitely does not have to be a clinical example. I think the point is, I think the word maturity is a good one that Angela used. You just want to show that you are capable of receiving feedback, processing it, and growing from it. And it could be about your bank statement, or like, I just want to know that you're able to do something, like that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And that's an opportunity that's open-ended for you to maybe show how you are distinctive, because everyone is going to be working clinically, right? So a clinical example may not set you apart from others, because if you had one that's related to research or education or other things that you're involved in, that could be more distinct. And I'm sorry, so the one thing I would say is like, in terms of like how far back do you go? If you went to intern year and you're applying for a faculty job, I'm not sure what, I would be curious as what the other day you're saying in terms of, you probably want to go back to high school if you're applying for a faculty job in terms of a learning experience. You might want to make it, I think that was okay in terms of, I was just trying to figure out how far back would you not like, with that in terms of citing a story.
I mean, I think I would definitely do something during residency or fellowship or whatever's closest to your, the next your residency sounds like, but your next stage.
I understand how far back you want to go. I think it's a good question. I think that's fine, but I agree, you don't want to go back.
And I think there's also a balance between, the goal of that really is to show that hopefully that you are open to feedback and receive feedback and what you can do with it, right? You can incorporate it and change the way you approach things. There's sometimes like you want to be careful. You don't want to paint yourself in a bad corner where you've done something so egregious or something so, right? It's not to say you shouldn't share things, right? And but just to be thoughtful about the story you're sharing by yourself. And I guess one other thing I'll say is that I was talking with another chair or something, making sure you, I know this sounds obvious, but don't lie about something. So, if you're asked about feedback, have you ever had something, whatever, and you say, no, not really, or I haven't had anything, and then with a reference check, it's like, oh, this person's gotten feedback, all these times, and hasn't really incorporated it, like those kind of things where emergency medicine is, I don't say small world, but it's a small world, right? And people get check references with whoever your direct supervisor, whether you're me or other people, right? Who supervise you, et cetera. And so you just want to make sure that you're thoughtful about what you say and that you're honest about things. And, if you do get asked, like, oh, is there any, and when she was telling me, they asked her, but, is there any reason that you would be able to credential here? But, anything that would prevent you from being credentialed or something,
Yeah.
Like that.
But again, I'll say this again. You should not be surprised by those any questions. I do know there's people who will ask you questions like, if you were a circus animal, which one? Instead of you have to be prepared. Yeah, you have to be prepared. But you should be prepared for a question about it. It just don't, it should, and don't make up an answer. But again, you should have something that's reasonable, that's flexible enough to fit into a few different questions like that. You know, it's not like here where we're just asking a question I haven't thought about. All those you've talked about, we should all be ready with a slew of questions. Short responses.
You spoke to reading answers, prepared and reverse answer to the question that should be prepared. You need to have some pause.
So, yeah, I think that, I don't know, again, I think reading it is different than like knowing, oh, I had an episode when I was an intern, I did this, and so like thinking about and being prepared, this is the story I'm gonna tell, the anecdote, or this is how I'm gonna answer it. More the concept rather than writing out every word and thinking that sense, so.
That, I think bullet pointing is a really good way to do it, because that, even, you know, you're in a new situation, now you're, nothing's coursing through your body, you may not be thinking this clearly, but if you've got those bullet points that you're on Zoom, or even if you're process someone who just saying, oh, I want to bring up that, you know, bullet point is, yeah, you don't want to read, you don't want to have a long sentences with that, or just, it's not, it just isn't. You just want people to be able to think on the fly, you know, what it is.
Yeah, this didn't come up with Brian sending alluding to it, which is your answers have short enough. There are these times you get in, and for 5 minutes later, they're still answering the question. They've gone on to separate different tangents. Have some self-awareness about those things. You know, you figure out, you know, things half an hour, or they want to get to 6 questions, and let you ask a couple. So realizing questions, you're going to get a 2-minute answer or something like that.
So thank you so much for taking the time to actually figure out some answers. I know that's not easy to do, especially in a room full of strangers. So quick round of applause again. I want to bring you back to the panel for one final question for you guys, because we are getting short on time if you can believe already. Emergency medicine is a wonderful job, and I think it's full of a lot of joy. It's the reason I keep coming back to it. Right? And I think there should be a lot of joy in education too. And we did some things that were critical, so I want to inject some joy. Think about the best junior faculty member you ever hired. Not senior faculty, so can't talk about today. But the best junior faculty member. What were the green flags in their interview that made you say that one?
I would say, I think of a couple of people, and it was just the very positive energy and optimism, and you know, being able to express themselves in a way that just made me want to like follow them instead of them follow me. I mean, they're just people that had just great energy and positivity, and without being arrogant, and just like they need to be part of our team. Hire them just based on what they're projecting.
Yeah, I agree, and I'll say that doesn't need to be an extrovert. I'm very much an introvert. But I think it goes back to, I love that the hunger, humble, and smart, right? And again, it's the people who come in and they're excited, they want to work, you know, they're interested in working at your place. It matches, you know, in the sense like sometimes like we work in a place where we have a very vulnerable patient population, right? And sometimes I hear stories about, oh, those people, you know, going through whatever it is, right? And then I'm like, I don't think we're going to be a good fit, right? So you want to make sure that you're a good fit for that place, that I want to serve whatever, I enjoy taking care of a variety, diverse patient population, whatever it is, right? That you're going to be a match, that you're going to enjoy doing whatever it is that you're going there to do. And that you're motivated, right? It's that hunger piece that, you know, how can I get involved? Am I interested? You know, what kind of support is there? How do I dance, right? People who don't want to just come and clock in, clock out, and leave, right? That you want people who are engaged in the department. And no matter what you're coming for, general faculty position, something else, that you're engaged, you're interested, and that you're you have a growth mindset, right? That you're there, you're willing to take feedback, you want to go there, hopefully grow and bring information and more.
Yeah, and I would also echo earlier comments that you should be prepared for the institution and the interviewers. You'll usually know, if they, again, depending on the type of interview you're gonna be having, you'll either get a list of interview, but you can be certain you're gonna interview with the leadership of the department, then you can always find these people online. And just get one, if you spend 30 seconds on each person and 5 minutes on the institution, you'll probably get 80% of the way in that party. And you should have just walked in and not know that they just had a merger of the institution or the CEO. I mean, you gotta have some context, show a level of interest. And that also will reflect the questions that you ask. And they said you have to have a question or two in your pocket. And then don't ask probing political questions, but ask questions that are contextual with the institution. And ask them in a very, again, polite and curious way, not sort of a gossip kind of way. But really just a little bit of due diligence ahead of time will go a long way to make me feel willing to go down.
And then I think we should do some maybe final thoughts, because we are actually
Yeah.
at time.
My final thought is just enjoy the interview process, because you're essentially meeting your colleagues. And even if you expand by institution, you will see these people. I've seen people that I interview people in programs at Ford and at SAEM, and you can build relationships because you get to know people pretty well, and they're asking you guys like today some of their questions. And so enjoy getting to know the members of the community. You develop relationships and help you have a way to go.
Yeah, I think for me, it was a little nerve-wracking going into the interview process because it's like they want to know your value added and what you can bring to the department. It just feels very like, what are you doing? And so I think the most important thing I did is I sat down with the coach and I did a values exercise and really grounded my interview process in like, what is it that I care about? What repertoire or CV of work do I have? And like, what do I want to continue at a new institution? And I think after I did that, the process got so much easier and lighter because it was like, I'm looking for people who care about the stuff that I care about. And if they don't, they're willing to support me in my pursuit of that. And so I think that was really important before I went into the interview process. It was like reframing it. It's like, okay, you're done with the training. Now, what do you want the rest of your career to look like?
And then connecting a little bit to what Donna just said, I think it's really important that you remember that you're also interviewing these institutions, and it's a lot about fit. It's going to be, do they have the right resources? Do they have the availability? Are the kind of patients that you want to work with, the kind of learners that you want to work with that are going to allow you to reach your goals, right? And not every chair is going to look at the same question the same way. So maybe one person didn't like that answer. It doesn't mean it's the wrong answer if it's true and authentic and humble, right? It just maybe you need to be in front of a different person for them to hear that answer to find that better one, right? And with that, I think we have to close.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
And thank you to our panelists.